Sounds like an excuse already, right? You're like, come on, Haley. No, seriously. No one. Me, my lenders I work with, National Association of Realtors, CoreLogic, Altos, whatever, Nerd Wallet, Home Bankers Association, Mortgage Bankers Association, Builders, no one has a crystal ball. What's happening with mortgage rates? What's happening with pricing? What can buyers and sellers do in Tennessee in 2026 in the real estate market? This is your 2026 real estate market predictions video. Let's dive in and get going. Hey, what's up? It's me, Haley Jones, your local Knoxville and East Tennessee real estate agent. I just couldn't help myself. I mean, these are my power to your earrings. It's 2026. We're talking Tennessee. We're talking real estate. We're going to start kind of broad and we're going to narrow down. So 3 things: rates, prices, what buyers and sellers can do specifically in the East Tennessee, Knoxville area market. So here's the disclaimer that I need to make to you. Sounds like an excuse already, right? You're like, come on, Haley. No, seriously. No one. Me, my lenders I work with, National Association of Realtors, CoreLogic, Altos, whatever, Nerd Wallet, Home Bankers Association, Mortgage Bankers Association, Builders, no one has a crystal ball. I mean, they might claim they do. There's a lot of people on TikTok saying all kinds of things, but you know what I'm saying. Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't actually know what's going to happen. So please remember that. These are what we think is going to happen, but we don't know, okay? These are predictions, and they're wrong all the time. That being said, let's first talk about the elephant in the room, which everybody wants to know about. It's on the making of this video. It is January 7th, 2026, okay? Since the 1st, I have had 4 current clients ask me if they need to wait to buy till rates come down. Well, as I said, it is January 7th, 2026. And right now, according to nerdwallet.com, Tennessee average mortgage rates, 30-year fixed, APR of 6.01%, 15-year fixed, 5.52%, and then if you're doing a 5-year ARM, adjustable rate mortgage, 6.39%. Okay, so that's where we are right now today. In Tennessee, according to nerdwallet.com, APR at 6.6% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. So that being said, if you're thinking, should I wait till rates go down? Where are you thinking they're going to go down? Because some sources like Fannie Mae, for example, expects rates will gradually ease, potentially reaching the high 5 range by the end of 2026. So that was Fannie Mae. Mortgage Bankers Association projects that rates will be relatively flat and average around 6.4, which is where we're at. National Association of Realtors, NAR, forecasts an average rate of around 6%, which would improve affordability and boost buyer confidence. Redfin and Realtor.com predict averages to be around 6.3 for the year, a slight improvement from the average seen in 2025. Okay, so when you're talking about waiting on the rates to drop, what is your expectation? If your expectation is that you're going to be in the low 5s, high 4s, no one's saying that. No sources are predicting that. No lenders are predicting that. Like, that's not a thing. At least, like I said, there is no crystal ball. So when you're thinking about the timing of when you want to buy, the other piece of this is, say rates did go into the 4s or the 5s, whatever. Do you remember, especially my East Tennessee people, what happened from 2019 to about 2024? Prices surged. Even 2019 to 2025, prices in Knoxville alone, 86% average price growth. And I also have a video, go check out that video. I have a video about Knoxville, and I have a video about surrounding counties, Blount County, shout out to Maryville, Loudoun, shout out to Warner City, all the surrounding areas. Everybody saw massive price increase, price growth, 2019 to 2025. Why do I bring that up? Well, because say rates dip We, in this area, in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area, have still not recovered to like a stable, steady, neutral market. In Knoxville specifically, I'll show you this graphic. Knox County is still really in a seller's market, frankly. Some sellers are gonna be like, Haley, what are you talking about? My house has been on the market 50,000 days. Well, I'm gonna get to that, but let me show you this graph. Let me find it, please hold. Let's look at inventory. I wanted to specifically show you months of inventory. Okay, so all of East Tennessee realtors. So this is anybody that's listed anything in East Tennessee realtors. So January 2024, we were at just over 4 months of inventory. We saw inventory spike January 2025, just over 5 months. And then we kind of saw dipping throughout 2025. December 2025, we were at just under 4.5 months. Okay, so that's all of East Tennessee. What about Knox County? Well, first of all, this graph is from 1 to 4. Note that this is from 2.5 to 5, so the scale is different. But January 2024, just under 2.5 months, which is a strong seller's market still. You can see that, yeah, inventory is coming up. But what's going to happen? So December 2025, we were at almost 3 months of inventory. That's still more leaning towards like seller advantage. Now, this is very hyper specific. If I were to just look at Farragut 37934, it's going to have a different inventory. If I were to look at West Hills 37909, different inventory. South Knoxville 37920, a different inventory. Seymour 37865. It's all going to be different. But this is in general what we're seeing is this is not a ton of inventory. We're not to a stable, equal market. I say that because if rates come down drastically, prices are going to go up. More buyers can be in the market to buy. So competition is going to be up. So I say all that because, yes, you want to keep the financial long-term vision in mind when you're buying and selling when it comes to mortgage rates. However, ultimately, as I mentioned, nobody has a crystal ball. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't predict, what exactly it's going to be. So that means your focus as a buyer or seller is, do you need to sell right now? Do you need to buy right now? Does it make sense for your current situation? Not just what's happening with the mortgage rates, because nobody knows, okay? I feel like I'm speaking very loudly and like preachy, and I apologize. I don't mean to come off like that. So all of that being said, if you're like, well, what does the rate even matter? Okay, for context, if you were to purchase a home for $400,000, which is around the average of where we are in Knoxville, the average sale price, right now today, $400,000 at 7%, your monthly mortgage payment, would be $2,927. Now this assumes like a certain amount down, etc. Okay. But if all things being equal, on average, it's about $2,900 per month if you had a 7% mortgage rate. Now, if the rate drops or was at 6%, it's a $300 difference roughly. So at 6%, it's $2,638. So just under $300 difference per month between 7% to a 6% for a $400,000 price home. So that's a big difference, right? That $300 can go somewhere else, obviously. So that's kind of where this comes into play. Obviously, homes are more affordable. A $400,000 house, if you want to have a max payment of $2,700 and your rate's at 6%, then you can afford a $400,000 house. But conversely, you need to be closer to $350,000 if the rate is closer to 7%. So to be at that threshold of $2,700 a month or less. So anyways, that being said, it matters, right? This matters for affordability purposes. And then according to the National Association of Realtors, they have a map on their website. You can click around different metro areas. It doesn't let you get very specific, but for example, like Knox Metro is an area that you can click on. So they're saying that if rates are at 6%, this will be an almost 4% increase in the share of households that would qualify for a mortgage. So 4% increase in who can even get a mortgage to begin with at that 6% interest rate. 41.4% of households can qualify with that mortgage rate. So 41% total qualify at 6%. And then it says, basically, what does that mean? Well, that means that 14,233 more households would afford the median priced home if you go from 7% to 6%. While 10% of those will likely buy a home, that would be 1,400 additional home sales in the next 12 to 18 months for the Knoxville area, just dictated by mortgage rate. So anyways, that being said, so you're like, Haley, what the hell am I supposed to do then? Well, what do you need to do? Do you need to buy or sell right now? If you need to buy or sell right now, then you want to take action on it. It is likely not going to be the case that we're going to see rates crazily drop, right? So in that case, we're not really actually making our decision based on mortgage rates. If rates were in the 2%, or we knew somehow that rates were about to drop to the 2%, like you would do certain things, but we don't know that. And we're probably never going to see that again. Okay. We don't know. Okay. But you know, where we are at is better than we were, especially late 2023. Come on now. 2024, way better. So anyways, that being said, we're actually in a better position, which by the way, if you bought during that time, that 2023, 2024, when we had some 7% going on, etc., maybe it's time to refinance. Maybe that's the action that you take. You know, talk with your lender, talk with them, what that would look like. How does that change your payment, etc. So that's one option. Another thing to think about is if you are buying or selling for that matter, you do have an option to ask for a rate buy down. So instead of closing costs, for example, or money towards your closing costs, so your cash needed at close, you can ask for a rate buy down. Why not do that? And then that way you can reevaluate once that rate buy down is over. That's an option. As a seller, this could be an option you also provide. If you feel that, you know, the mortgage rates are still keeping buyers from even looking at your house, the affordability of your home, maybe you do offer a rate buy down. You can say that in the verbiage of your listing description. So those would be options you could provide on the sell side, and then as a buyer, you could ask for that. We mentioned refinancing. The main thing is that, like, if we're at the 6%, more affordability than, of course, at the 7s, of course, at the 8s. You know, 6% is less affordable than a 5%. Like, some of this is common sense. But that being said, the key takeaway here is, number one, nobody knows. And number two, it's probably low 6s for the majority of 2025. Although Fannie Mae says low or high 5s by the end of the year, maybe. So TBD. All right, that's mortgage rates for you. Number two, home prices. What's going to happen? Okay, so a little background here. I've already mentioned this. 2019 to 2025 in Knoxville, but also the majority of East Tennessee. During that time period, 2019 to 2025, I have two different videos, again, one on Knoxville and one on the surrounding areas. We saw, on average, 86% price growth of home value in East Tennessee. Some of those are well over, like double, well over 100% growth. I think Jefferson County was at like 72%. You can go see that on the video. And even that's pretty great. There was one other, I think Jefferson and I can't remember the other county were in the 70s, but everybody else was 80% or higher price growth 2019 to 2025. Okay. We're not going to see that. We won't see that appreciation in 2026. We're not going to see something crazy like that. The prediction is 3 to 5% possible increase. If we look at pricing trends, like this is all of East Tennessee, you can see like there's a flattening. This is January 2024 to December 2025. You can see that there's kind of this like flat scale, if that makes sense, flat movement. And you can also see that in Knoxville alone. So Knoxville alone, flat pricing. Not flat pricing, but we're not seeing this like crazy trajectory. On average, we might see 2 to 3, like nationally, price appreciation. Now, some areas in the country are not seeing that. And in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area, we're seeing kind of this flattening normalization of pricing where things aren't skyrocketing like they were. So that being said, when it comes to you as a buyer, as you're looking to make an offer, you're thinking about pricing, you're thinking, is this too high? Something that you want to avoid, that's a trap and it's gonna make you angry. And I'm gonna tell you to do this and now you're gonna go do it. But say someone purchased a home in 2019 and they are now selling it in 2026. Just prepare yourself that the price is possibly double what they paid. You're gonna say, well, what did they do to double the value? They bought it in 2019. Okay, you just have to essentially accept that. Now, if it's a trash box, that's different. If they ruined it, that's also different. So I just wanted to say that that's gonna feel a little bit like a gut punch, but it is what it is. Okay, that's what the market says. Like, nobody is saying like, let me underprice my home. Let me not put my house at market value so that I can make less money. Like, they're selling a house and you would do the same too. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. But also, when you're thinking about pricing, something that you can ask about, your agent can help you with, is what is the average sale to list price ratio? So for example, in November 2025, Knox County homes are selling about 96% of the list price on average, which meant you could anticipate that you could probably get that house for 4% less than asking, okay? That's just a stat that could help you. If you're like, I don't want to offer full price, but I don't want to offend someone, which I don't really think you should be worried about offending. I think you need to offer what you feel good about, and then you work the steps. There's other terms we can negotiate and move within our offer beyond just the purchase price. That being said, if you know, or you can ask your agent, me, hopefully, you can ask your agent, what's the average sale to list price ratio? On the opposite side of that, as a seller, you can ask that number. What is happening in my neighborhood? Are homes selling at ask? Are they selling below ask? What percentage, etc. So that's something to know when it comes to pricing. Also note, pricing is super, super local. What do I mean when I say super local? I mean literally in Knox County, you could have 2 zip codes, for example. Let's talk about the Farragut town of Farragut 37934, and traditionally Hardin Valley 37932. They literally are right next to each other. They have a different days on market. They have a different new construction market. They have a different average sale price. They do have a similar buyer profile in a lot of cases. So it's a similar buyer, but even though it's a similar buyer, you're looking at a different price point. You're looking at a different age home, mostly. You're looking at, it's completely different, even though these 2 zip codes are right next to each other. Not to mention, say we go from Farragut 37934, which is deep West Knox, and we go to Sequoia Hills 37919, right by downtown. Both are west of downtown. Both have 2 different price points. Both have 2 different days on market. Both have 2 different home types. Average home type, the closer you are to downtown, pretty much the older the home, the further out, the newer. So anyways, just know that prices are super, super, super hyper local. So asking a question like, I get this all the time. What is the average price per square foot? Well, where? What neighborhood? What zip code? What school zone? We got to get specific. What square footage? Does it have a pool? Is it on the water? Does it have a mountain view? All these things. We don't, I can tell you an average price per square foot, but the problem with an average is it's an average, right? So that's a broad picture. We want to get the average of the more specific picture. So anyways, when you're thinking about pricing, as a buyer, you're thinking, okay, what can I afford? What do I want to spend? What is affordable for me? Does it make sense for me to buy at X price point? What are my options in said Knoxville area? Where do I want to be? What kind of house can I get for that price? And then also know that yeah, it sucks as a buyer that prices have skyrocketed so much. I literally had a client last week say he was looking in 2022. He decided to wait because he said prices were going to come down back in 2022. No. Fast forward now, he's priced out of where he wants to be. He could have afforded it back then. Now, I'm not saying that to be like, I'm just saying we're not going to see prices drastically dropping. Now, there may be more negotiability because we do have a bit more inventory than what we had back in 2019, 2020, 21, etc. But we can't look back. We got to look at where we are right now. What are the facts? What do you want to afford? What can you afford? And what do you want to buy? And where is that in the Knoxville and East Tennessee area that you want to be in? On the sell side, essentially, check this graphic out. Essentially, when you're pricing, it's super important. And one thing that you're going to look at is like 1 mile radius sales. You're going to look at this like an appraiser would. 1 mile comparable sales, plus or minus about 20% square footage. Do you have a pool? Does the other stuff you're comparing have a pool? Do you have a basement? Does the other stuff you're comparing to have a basement? How does your square footage compare to other stuff in the neighborhood? Recently, I had a listing and there were quite a few sales within the neighborhood. My listing had some pros, like the master bathroom was updated. It had a really nice back patio. Like it had some really good updates. The kitchen was not updated. It was a 3-bed. Some of the other square footage comp homes in the neighborhood had 4 bedrooms. One of them had a basement. So we look at what was that average price per square foot and then consider, okay, what was the value the basement added over the house I was selling? What did the 4th bedroom do in terms of value to the market versus this 3-bedroom home I was selling? Conversely, what did the master bath, how did it change the value and increase the value compared to the other sales? Because the one with the basement, not updated whatsoever, okay? So we're thinking super hyper-local and very, 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 very strategically about your pricing. The other thing when we're looking at pricing is, what's the buyer pool? Who's buying in this neighborhood? If the max home in that neighborhood is $450 and you want to be at $475, but you don't have comps to support it, you're likely pricing out 90% of buyers. They're not even going to look at it. They're not even going to set foot in the house, even if your pictures are immaculate, okay? Now, meanwhile, if you're pricing at market value, then you're accessing about 60% of that buyer pool. And then as you underprice, of course, your total buyer pool also increases. So pricing is super important. And I will say, if you have a very specific property, a very unique property, that's harder to price. And you can talk with your agent on what this could look like. You can talk with your agent on different strategies. You can talk with your agent on what your bottom dollar is. And in some cases, you might start higher. In some cases, you might start close to that bottom dollar because you want to sell quickly. So on the sell side, when we're talking about how to price in 2026, we're thinking, where are we in terms of comps? But also, like, what's our goal here? Is the goal of bidding more? If the goal is of bidding more, you're going to have to underprice. If the goal is, let me just test the market, then it might sit a little bit longer. You never know. So anyways, when it comes to buyers and pricing, again, I mentioned what's the average sale to list price ratio? How much negotiability do you likely have on that offer? The other thing to consider beyond price are your inspection period. Do you want to ask for repairs? How much are you putting down? Do you have a home sale contingency? If you have a home sale contingency, where are you in that process? The further along you are in that home sale, the better your offer on a home is going to be perceived by a seller. So if you have a home sale contingency, but your pictures aren't even made yet, you're not even ready to put your house on the market, that's very different than someone that's putting an offer on a home that's closing, that has a contingency for a home that closes next week. Right? Let me say that again. If you have a home sale contingency as a buyer in 2026, and your home is not even anywhere near ready to be put on the market, you haven't done pictures, you have touch-ups that need to be done, you need to renovate something, like you're not ready. But you see this house that you love, Versus you're a buyer, your home is under contract, it closes next week. You're through all contingencies except for the actual closing of the home, and you're putting offers on a house. As a seller, the person who has the home sale that's about to happen looks a lot better than the person that the house isn't even listed yet, right? Essentially, that seller is taking on the risk of your home selling over theirs, because once they're under contract, their house is under contract, but now you got to get your house under contract. So if your house is harder to sell than what they have, it's a bigger risk, right? So all that being said, this is all part of your negotiation. Now, the other thing that I thought was interesting is some of the predictions for 2026 when it came to pricing mentioned that there won't be any bidding wars. Now, I don't think there's going to be any bidding wars, but I have seen, even just in this past week, actually even this weekend, 3 offers on the table for one property. This property had been on the market 76 days. Where are all these offers coming all of a sudden? Well, the sellers had dropped the price, and then it showed up in my buyer's feed once it was in the price range they wanted to be in. And it showed up in the price range of other people's at that time. So at that time, then you bring more people to see your home. Like, more people want to come see your house because you increase your buyer pool as your pricing is more aligned with the market value for that home. So anyways, all that being said, I wouldn't say 3 buyers is a bidding war, but it certainly it was a best and final, bring your best and final. So that being said, there's room for negotiation. Probably not seeing bidding wars. Sellers, you're probably not going to see a bidding war unless you way undervalue your home under market value. And that's all strategy about what you want to do as a seller. Okay, really quickly. And I've kind of already mentioned this before, but when it comes to buyer and seller behaviors in 2026 in the East Tennessee real estate market sector, you got to have a plan. If you're a buyer, you want to be pre-approved. If you have a home sale contingency, what's your plan? Have your pictures made. Have your home ready to go on the market. Some people are afraid to put their house on the market without actually locking down a house. It's like a chicken and the egg. What do you need more, to sell the house or to buy the new one? And then act accordingly. Your agent can help you with this. As a seller, what are your goals? Is your goal top dollar? Is your goal quickly? You need to quickly sell this. Is your goal you want to sell this as is? Those are 3 different things. What's your priority? And some people are like, well, I want to do all those things. I get it. I understand. What's the priority? And then you're going to price and market accordingly. Period. Do you need a stage? Do you just need to clean it? Like, what do you need to do to reach the goal, right? And then also thinking as a seller about terms beyond just the price. So for example, if your goal is the price, then you're also very specific and strategic about how much you're offering the buyer's agent, for example. You're strategic about how much you'll provide towards closing costs or not. Will you provide a rate buy down? Now, all this is going to come on a case-by-case basis, but you want to be prepared for what your goals are. If your goal is top dollar, your house has to look top dollar. Then it needs to be staged. There should be no loose electrical plates. Stuff shouldn't be falling off the walls. You shouldn't have cracks. Everything should be pristine. Because buyers, no offense, buyers are very picky, especially right now. They have choices. They have time to think about what they want to do. I cannot tell you the number of buyers, even just in last year, where we saw a house, for example, in June. That house we revisited back in August, and then they put an offer in. We saw it in June. It was still there. They bought it in August. Buyers have that option now. So anyways, that being said, and if you're a seller and that makes you want to vomit, then you're probably going to need to be flexible on your pricing. So anyways, those are your local 2026 real estate market predictions. Mortgage rates, 6s, low 6s. Pricing may go up slightly. We're not going to see this crazy price appreciation that we've been seeing the past couple years, but we're also not going to see this bubble burst and prices plummet. Like, it's not going to happen. We don't have enough inventory for that to happen. And then when it comes to home buyer and seller strategy in the East Tennessee and Knoxville area, you have to have a plan. If you're a buyer, pre-approved, what do you need? What do you want your monthly payment to be? What houses align with that? What levers can you pull on your offer that gets you to your home buying goal? As a seller, same thing. What's your goal? Overarching. Is it price? Is it days on market? Like you want to sell quickly? Is it you just want to leave? You don't want to do any repairs? Like what's the goal? And then we work back from the goal. So anyways, that is your 2026 East Tennessee real estate market predictions. Just keep in mind that like these are very general suggestions. You have your own agenda. You have your own philosophy. You have your own family need and story and dynamic. And you always want to work towards what is best for your family and your goals. And so that is what we do. So in listening to all this, take it with a grain of salt. What's your goal? And then once you know your goal, we work towards that. So I'm Haley Jones. As always, please click subscribe. If you have topics you would love for me to cover, also put those in the comments and I'll get them to you. That being said, I'm Haley Jones. I'll see you on the next video.